Hi guys, welcome back to Brown and Lovely. Today we wanted to introduce you to our new series. It's called Spill the Chai. So we wanted to start this series to get the conversation started around a lot of these taboo topics in Indian brown culture that just have a stigma behind them. And we wanted this makeup channel to be more than just beauty videos. We wanted it to be about also acknowledging the stuff that we deal with as Indian immigrant kids, or just, you know, around the world, wherever you are. That's what we've learned, is that people are going through the same thing in different ways. So just wanted to start talking about these issues to like shed some light on that. And for every video we're going to show you how to make a different kind of beverage, and we thought we'll start our first video with our favorite thing ever, which is Masala Chai. So we'll show you how we make our recipe. Okay, so we're going to go over the ingredients. Typically to make 1 cup of tea you would use half cup of water and half cup of milk, but because today we're making tea for both Sahana and I'm going to do 1 whole cup of milk and 1 full cup of water. So what you would require is water, milk, sugar, and tea. So I use the Brook Bond Red Label Natural Care, and you should be able to find this in like any Indian store. I also have a saucepan where you can boil your milk, and another bowl and a filter. So since we're making masala chai today, we need a couple of other spices to add. So the spices we're using today are cardamom, clove, cinnamon, and ginger. For cinnamon, you can also use cinnamon bark and just crush it. So I have my saucepan over medium heat, and I'm gonna add 1 cup of milk. And to this, I'm gonna add 1 cup of water. And since these spices we're using are like whole, I like to crush them before putting them in. So you can use something like this, like the mortar and pestle. I also put the ginger slices in, even though they're already cut, just because when you crush them together, it gets like the juices out more. I'm just not gonna put the cinnamon in because it's just powder. Okay, so now that we have our spices ready, I'm gonna add this. And we just have to wait for the milk to come to a boil. So now that our milk has boiled, we can add tea. So I'm gonna do about 4 to 5 teaspoons because it's the 2 of us. But if it's for 1 person, you can do either 2 or 3 based on how strong you like it. Okay, so now that we have the light brown color, we know the tea is ready. So I'm gonna turn my stove off and filter it out. So I like to use this bowl, and I also like to add my sugar first. So today I'm using a light brown sugar, but feel free to use whatever you have. Okay, so I recommend doing the next step over a sink just because it can get messy and you might spill. So you just want to pour this over a couple times to make sure that it mixes well with the sugar. Yeah, and that's it. Our tea is ready, and that's how easy it is to make masala chai. So the topic we're going to talk about today is the stigma of dark skin in Indian culture. And we are just raised with this idea drilled in our head that the lighter your skin is, the more attractive you are, and the darker your skin is, the less attractive you are. And if you have dark skin, you need to consciously be doing something to get as light as possible. And this actually is the reason why we named our channel Brown and Lovely. Yeah, so a lot of people, I feel like they don't know this thing exists, or at least when I was talking to my friends about making this video, they were so shook that there's a product called Fair and Lovely which is sold all over India, which is actually like a skin whitening It's not even brightening, it's a skin whitening cream.
Although I will say that like it used to be blatantly called skin whitening, and recently when I went to India like 2 months ago, they've changed it to like make your skin more glowing and radiant, and I think that's just like 2019.
It's like ridiculous because now people, I feel like wanting bright skin is okay, like that's why you use like vitamin C serums and stuff like that. Like bright skin is okay, but white skin is a whole different, like that's a whole different story. So because we have this product in India called Fair and Lovely, and they even have advertisements where the girl is really sad and upset because she has dark skin and she thinks she's ugly because of that. And to make it worse, they always show situations of her being rejected by like guys and not having dates to go to because she's too dark, and then her friend would suggest her to use this product and then they show like a transformation. It's literally like a 7-shade lighter transformation that they show, and now suddenly a week later she's super white, that the same guy that rejected her once, which I don't understand why you would want to go back with him, but now he wants to like take her out for coffee, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. So because of this very famous product called Fair and Lovely, and we're trying to break the stigma here, we thought we'll name our channel Brown and Lovely.
It's just to encourage people to embrace the skin they have and stop feeling insecure about what they think they should have just because of some stupid society stigma. And it's like, this product is really popular in India. Like 20 years ago when I lived there, it was mainly used and there's maybe 2 or 3 different varieties of it. And I thought recently when I went like, oh, maybe people don't use this anymore because it's 2019, people are more educated and progressive now. And no, now it's like they just have a million more offerings under the same brand. So it just shows that like none of the stigma has made any progress.
It's only become worse in my opinion, because now Fair and Lovely not only has a fairness cream, they also have a CC cream, a BB cream, it's a face wash, and they have other like brands that like compete with Fair and Lovely too. There's like a bunch of others with the similar like names. I think there's like Fair Ever and like I don't know. They're all based on the same like the same concept of having white skin.
Yeah, and these experiences of being criticized for your skin color is just so much more commonly accepted than you would think, especially if you're not aware of this issue. For example, it's so like normal for you to go back to India and like see relatives and they'll be like, oh my god, you got so dark, like what did you do to yourself, you're not taking care of your skin, like what happened, and like this reaction that they'll blatantly give. And then another example is like when people have babies, if the baby has like darker skin, they'll be like, oh, the baby's cute, but the baby has dark skin. So like, what a shame, the baby has dark skin. Or even like for us, they'll look at baby pictures and be like, oh, you used to be so much more fair as a baby. Like, too bad you got older and you got darker.
Yeah. So another thing is that it's so common for like for women to be pregnant and then for their parents to be like, oh, like did you drink like saffron milk? Because apparently, funny enough, if you drink milk that is infused with like saffron when you're pregnant, and then when the baby comes out, apparently it comes out whiter, which like makes no sense to me because I feel like your skin tone is based on your like genetics and not based on what you eat really. So I feel like because those things are so like instilled upon even when they're like pregnant, that you have to take care of the skin tone that your baby is going to be born in even before the baby is born. Is so like ridiculous.
And then another horrible thing they do is like if you have multiple kids and one kid has darker skin, the other kid has lighter skin, they'll blatantly just be like, oh, too bad this kid has darker skin, the other one, like this one is not as attractive as the other one. And it's so mean.
Indian parents already compare siblings on everything, so might as well do it on skin tone too.
It's like another thing to like feel insecure about. And then I think it's like especially bad if you've had like 2 girls, because I know like an example, like I have a friend who has like a sister who has slightly darker skin than she does, and her sister is just super insecure about it just because people will just blatantly say rude things like this and make you believe that you are like somehow less attractive, which is just not true. Like it's just doesn't make sense, but it's just that much drilled into your head. And then that's the other comment is like in between girls it's a bigger deal than it is like for boys. Like if a boy has darker skin, it's all of a sudden not that big of a deal. It'll just be like, oh, you have dark skin.
Wow, he's very athletic, he plays games, he's outside, he's sporty, so he's dark. Wow.
Yes. Also, there's like opportunity, like, oh, if you're dark, oh well, like at least he's smart and has a good job and like has a nice personality.
He makes a lot of money, it's good. But if you're a girl, who cares if you have a job? Who cares if you're good at what you do? All they care about is, are you light-skinned and beautiful?
Yes.
Apparently that's all you really have to bring to the table, which is a completely different topic, like another stigma topic that we'll definitely
be a future episode.
Of what it's like to be
more
a
than enough women in India, But like on that same note, even with like dating sites or like wedding sites, like let's say like these like matrimonial things in India that are huge, as everyone knows, it's like we're probably the only culture that has a section for what your skin tone is. Like,
wait, I don't think they know, because I was telling my friend about this and she was like, wait, what is that? Because I was telling her how they have like these newspaper ads where it's like, bride wanted, must be tall, educated, have a degree, should know how to cook, should know how to sing, and then
know how to be a good housewife and bring in an income.
Things that actually happen in India.
That's true. So there's these big websites where if you're trying to get married and want to find a match, you can put like your information and like what you do and all of that, and like fine, you put in your age, your job, all that is very normal. But then there's also a section that's literally like skin tone, and then people will say like very fair, weedish, like dusky,
dark. So when we talked about making this episode, a lot of people DM'd us, but I wanted to share some snippets of what I have experienced personally. The most recent thing I experienced was when I went back to India for my cousin's wedding. So many people, like, they would come to me and they would just be like, oh, what happened to you? You got so dark. And I'm just like, are you saying this out of pity? Are you actually concerned about my skin tone? Like, I don't get it. It's not really something I can control. And I feel like, who cares? Like, I think I still look fine, so I don't understand how any of this matters. And in the past, when I was in school, I like became friends with this girl who's also South Indian. I was from Tamil Nadu. She was literally like, oh, I thought you were North Indian because you were too like light-skinned to be from South India. And I was just like, you're South Indian, why are you making this remark? Like, it's just, I think it's ridiculous that people are able to say that, oh, like what your skin tone is. I mean, I don't know,
like where you're from.
Yeah, so people are able to say that, which like makes no sense, because I also feel like South India is like closer to the equator.
Yeah, so like generally speaking, obviously as you get more south and closer to the equator, the sun is like more prevalent. You're gonna get darker skin. It's very obvious. But then like beyond that aside, everyone in South India has dark skin. Everyone in North India has light skin.
Yeah, like, there are so many people in North India that's dark too, and so many people in South India
actually get
like light skin too.
Yeah, and they get like offensive comments like, "Oh, you're North Indian? I thought you were South Indian because you're so dark." Probably the most like WTF moment I had was when this guy was trying to hit on me, I think, and was thinking he was giving me a compliment, and he was like, oh, you know, I think you're really pretty for having dark skin. And I was like, am I supposed to be flattered by this? Like,
is this a compliment or an insult? I'm confused.
Like, why would you think that's a way to impress someone? Like, oh, even though you're dark, I think you're pretty. Like, okay.
Okay, so now that we talked about our personal stories, I think it's important for us to shed some light on the beauty industry in India and just how all of this started. So there's this makeup brand called Lakme, and it's like a makeup brand that's specific for like Indians.
Yeah,
like it's literally an Indian makeup brand.
An Indian makeup company.
Which they sell everything from like foundation, like BB cream, CC cream, setting powder, like literally everything, right? And it's huge in India. This is like one of the most, I would say, probably like the only
like mainstream makeup brand. Like if you think of getting makeup products, it's probably going to be Lakme.
Yeah, it's gonna be Lakme. And so Lakme has their foundation, right? And they literally have like 5 shades or very, very few, very limited shade options. And if you see like the Indian skin tone, it ranges from someone being very white to like someone being really dark. So I feel like they're just not like accommodating of every single tone. they just have like a select few, and majority of the select few are just light skinned. Because in the end of the day, they're like, regardless of whether you're light or dark, you still want to be light skinned anyways, so you end up buying the lighter skin foundation shades. And this is weird because your foundation shade should be your exact same skin tone color, not a lighter shade. So well, we're gonna insert a picture somewhere here. So
yeah, and it's like, if they're lost, like why would you make a limited like options for skin tones when you know that like the audience, like the target consumer group you have, has a need much bigger than that. Like if you only offer 4 or 5 shades, then people are gonna just go to other brands to find something that actually does work for them.
not really, because sometimes I think they have it this way because they think
Yeah,
that people still want the light skin, so they're only gonna get those shades.
Yeah, like I should say, like people, like okay, people who are like, who acknowledge that like for your makeup to look appropriate for you, you need the right skin tone. But that's true that like in India, a lot of times like people's makeup will look caked on because they think that like using a foundation shade that's like 5 shades lighter will just make
No. I think that people think using a foundation is so that you look white. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
put foundation on.
like they don't understand the purpose of using a foundation is to have like a proper base for the rest of your makeup to sit on. You're not using a foundation so you can change your skin tone. That's not how it works. Yeah, so in this picture that we're gonna show you, you can literally see that they have 3 different skin tone, but they all have the same exact shade match on their skin, which like makes no sense because it's like whether you're light skinned or dark skinned, just use this one. It's like a one shade fits all thing, which is not how the beauty industry should work. And funny enough, I did some research behind Lakme only to find out that Lakme is owned by Unilever, which also makes Fair and Lovely. So I feel like it all like connects, and the whole, I feel like the way that they made this product is very like unethical, and I'm surprised that it still works and it's still very much appreciated in India.
But I think that's the problem, is like this kind of product would only really work in India because people just believe this idea so strongly. Like that would never work here, being like, oh, we're gonna offer 4 shades, or like force you to like convince yourself that if you're lighter or darker you'll be more or less attractive. In India, that's what people believe, so then like they're able to get away with it.
Yeah, I feel like if they did that here, it would be so offensive, which it actually is offensive. Like I don't understand why. I feel like in India people like raise their voice about every single thing. But how are they quiet about this? Like I feel like not enough people talk about like the beauty industry in India and how ridiculous it is.
And I mean, the opposite example of something like Lakme is Fenty, and the reason why when Fenty launched, it just became like this breakthrough makeup brand and it was off the shelves is because of the number of options that they offer for the shades. And actually, like I looked this up and there was like a statement by Rihanna saying like there are pretty limited options for people of like darker skin tone, or like there aren't enough options in makeup products even here, and so she wanted to create something that was accommodating for whatever skin tone that you have.
Doesn't Fenty have like 50?
Like a lot.
I think, I'm not sure, but I think it has like 50 different foundation shades, and like Sahana said, like undertones is a whole different topic, because I feel like for instance, I feel like we talked about this before, but Sahana's undertone is more neutral.
And
it's like neutral, cool. And mine is like warm and gold. So I feel like even though we have the same, like we actually have the exact kind of
foundation
color, but like products we use look different on each of us because of our undertone. So I feel like it's important for the makeup brands to also cater to like different undertones for Indian skin tones.
So I think for people like me and you who are like just average Indian girls, this is a hard thing to go through, and then we think like, oh, we're just going through this. Like if you're like a celebrity or like an actress, like you're not gonna feel this way because you know you're so looked up to. Especially in India where like the movie entertainment industry is huge. But actually a couple years back I read this article written by Sonam Kapoor, and Sonam Kapoor is a huge Bollywood actress, daughter of another huge Bollywood actor, comes from like this massive like celebrity family, and you would just think like based off her success, like she's probably someone that's super confident and doesn't deal with these type of issues and doesn't have these insecurities, and this is what her article was about. It was called I Didn't Wake Up Like This, and it was about how she used to be very insecure about multiple things, like her body type, her weight, her skin tone. And she had this one comment specifically that she was at some family party and she already had a lot of insecurities, and someone made a comment that like, oh, she's this tall and dark, who's ever gonna marry her? And she was like, that just solidified my insecurities more, and then I tried to do all these diets and like tried all these things to like make myself more attractive, especially surrounded by so many other actresses and celebrities who you compare yourself to. So that just was like, I really appreciated, and I feel like I had a new level of respect for her, that she like came out and like owned up to this and made a statement about like the stigma that like Indian girls go through, that this is like drilled in your head no matter who you are, like you have these insecurities and think that like you should be more attractive or you should do something to fit these stereotypes more.
So as we can tell, these issues are pretty big in India, but funny enough, they're also pretty prominent here, because I feel like physically you're in America, but I feel like your brain is still stuck in India, and that's just how, if your parents were raised that way, they end up raising their kids that way too. So I feel like even now, we have friends that are like concerned about their skin tone and about being dark skinned, and there's a lot of like, I don't know, like skin shaming.
Yeah, and it's like, this is what I think I find the most disturbing or frustrating about this issue, is that like, it's one thing if you were raised like this in India and like our parents can't like get over the stigma, but then like for people that are raised here, born and raised in the US, and still have this drilled in their head, then it's like, when is this gonna end? Like, they're just gonna raise their kids the same way, and this is just gonna keep going on, and people are gonna just never be happy with the skin shade that they have.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important to understand that nothing will change unless you want change. So next time someone passes a comment about your skin tone, don't be okay with that. Like, tell them that, hey, like, I think this is pretty ridiculous that you had this remark. Or, first of all, like, who cares? Who cares about what people say and what people think? They always have an opinion, and it's not whether you want to listen to their opinion or not. They're always there to give you free advice and, oh, I think this is what you should do. But that's just how people are.
Yeah.
End of the day, it's your life. If you don't want to do what they want you to do, don't do it.
Yeah, and like, try to catch yourself when you have these moments of like, oh, I'm not gonna go to the beach today, and then ask yourself like, are you really not going because you want to take care of your skin and not have it burn or something like that? Or is it because you think you'll go and then get tan? Be more mindful of these situations, and I think that's like the first step to like positive change, is actually acknowledging that this issue exists and that it's up to us to change. So we really hope you guys liked this video today. It was something a little different for us, so give us feedback, let us know if it was relatable and what you think about this topic and any future topics that you have ideas for.
Yeah, and also let us know in the comments below about your personal experiences of skin shaming, and what you think about having brown skin, and what comments people have passed on you about, and things like that. So if you like our content, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more.